All right, let's get started on it because I'm tired. Boy, want to go to sleep, but consistency is motherfucking key in this bitch. So there was a few podcasts that I had in mind for ideas that I actually wanted to do, but this was one. And by the way, guys, props in the background. Those are just props for YouTube. But anyway, this was a real interesting one. So if you're on Twitter, you hear a lot about um, the whole thing with the adult film stars, right? There's a guy by the name of Gucci Third Leg, and if you're on Twitter and you're in that type of space, because we know Twitter shows everything. Twitter is just complete filth. Twitter is complete filth, and Twitter literally shows everything. So I guess this some guy by the name of Gucci Third Leg, and you had some girl that came out, and she's on the internet, and she's talking about how at first I heard it. My brother had sent it to me. I'm just like, I'm thinking she's talking about Gucci Man because I'm just like Gucci Third. Who the fuck is a Gucci Third Leg? I'm like, pause, right? Mega pause. But I'm just hearing about it. I'm just like, well, I don't know who this character is. Uh, but shortly enough, I've seen him, you know, and I'm just like, well, I'm not 100% familiar with this guy. I don't really know who he is. Um, and but what I see is I see this girl, she's coming out and she's talking about how, she was been set up or she was hooking up with this guy and he has HPV S2 or whatever it's called, basically herpes. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing to say. Can you get flagged for that? I don't know. TikTok could be all over the place. But long story short, this guy is adult film star, right? He does the whole online thing, and he's on Twitter just smashing thousands, literally. So there's an interview of this dude, and he's basically saying how I think in a like he has about 3,000 bodies, which is nuts, nuts, nuts. I don't even, and me, I consider myself a woman connoisseur. I have nowhere near that. I don't even have 1,000 bodies, right? And sometimes when you ever be on a date and you get into this whole discussion, and sometimes the conversation comes up. It's very rare that a girl will ask you, "What's your body count?" But sometimes I feel disgusted by the number, right? Sometimes I feel disgusted by the number, my own personal number. But bro said he had 3,000 bodies. 3,000 bodies. Now, I remember seeing that clip and I remember seeing it a while back. I don't know whether it was last year, maybe this year, earlier on this year. And I'm just like, he has to have something. Like, how do you not catch anything? And we see this guy on camera and he's raw dogging these women. Now, you would assume that because they are adult film stars, perhaps they're professionals and they check each other, they check for, uh they check for their test to see if everything's good and clear. But apparently the story goes that this dude is a bad apple and he was just straight up saying that, yeah, my tests are good, so he was showing fake tests. So you see the woman on the screen, and I don't really know her name. And this young lady basically starts to say that, this dude was still having multiple adult film partners, and he's just going through all of them. He's going through all of them. He's, sleeping with a ton of women, and and yeah, he's spreading the HPV, whatever, herpes. I don't think it's bad to say. Can we say that? Will I get flagged for that? So worried about damn TikTok. But yeah, so supposedly this guy has that, and he's just still smashing all of these women, right? And it's so funny because a lot of you guys are following some of these women. Now, I was on Twitter and I seen a list, a thorough, long list, and the list had like 20 names. Now that's just the people he worked with that the public knows about. What about in this man's personal life, right? Now, when you do the research on this in particular STD, obviously there has to be a flare of bumps that look like if you ever had what's that candy that's crunchy? I forget what it's called. This is a wild pause. Pause, pause, pause. It's a wild, crazy conversation. I can't believe I'm doing this right now. But it's like a series of tiny little dots, like tiny little bumps, right? Which are very obvious to see. So apparently you can't spread this in particular STD unless you have a outbreak or a flare up or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, not pop rocks. It's like a chocolate crunch. I think it's called crunch. Like on the back of it's like little like peanuts, and it like they look like little dots, right? And that's basically what it looks like. You would say on on the male's private part. So this guy is basically going around and still working with women, but the deceiving part is, yeah, it's a crunch bar. There we go. Pause. Mega pause. So he's burning, right? And he's still working with women, but he's lying to them, telling them that he doesn't have the disease. Now, it's a hard place to come to. I couldn't imagine myself being an adult film star and still having something and then still spreading that around. It's like, dude, where's your conscience at? Right. But I can understand that if that did happen to somebody, you wouldn't want to tell somebody, but you don't continue to work and put other people's life at risk. Right. And then you have this, and then I seen another clip of he was working like it was a brand new clip, still working with another woman, and she says, "Do I have it or not?" I'm just like, so either the dude doesn't have it, or she's aware of the fact that it can't spread unless there's an outbreak, so she still took the risk anyway. Like some of these people really just don't care. But this is the point. The point is, all these women that were on that list that this man worked with, because he's supposed to be a professional. It's not too professional. I see a lot of guys knowing these women by heart. I see a lot of guys when you go on their TikTok and their Instagram page in their comments. I see a lot of these guys subscribe to these women. I just want to know, does this now kill the fantasy that knowing that your favorite adult film star, someone who you're subscribes to, do you still watch them now? Does it kill the allure in your head? Knowing that when you do whatever you do to the videos that they put out and the content that they produce, knowing that they have this type of, you know, STD. And this is why I tell guys, you just can't be so thirsty. You can't. And I know it's hard for a lot of younger guys because you guys don't turn down women at all. Because a lot of young guys will do, they'll just accept anything. Now, God forbid, like some of these adult film stars that you see on Twitter that promote themselves, let's be honest, these women are bad. Let's be honest, they're bad. We're talking about eights, nines, and tens, usually nothing less. Sometimes you may have the 6 or 5 that breaks through, maybe because she has a really big butt, but that still puts her up a point, right? So either way, she's qualified. But some of you guys get so thirsty that you don't even think about these things. And I can bet you about 80% of guys don't even ask girls, are they clean or have they ever been tested? Most human beings don't use condoms. Most. Most human beings are not using condoms. Let's be real. I'll be honest myself. I'm not big on them. But I just don't go around sleeping with a whole bunch of randoms. I would say even when I was younger and I would talk to more than one girl at a time, we're staying persistent and consistent with the certain type of women that you deal with. But even still, that's risky, right? Because I know a lot of guys that say, "Well, I want to have a rotation of women." Okay, you have a rotation of women. Are you keeping track of all these women, right? Are you 100% sure that this woman that you're not talking to, or this rotation of women you're not talking to, are sleeping with other men, right? Are you 100% sure? Now it is possible. I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's very possible, but it's risky. It's 1,000% risky. And a lot of you guys never investigate. Most men don't investigate. And here I'm gonna hit you with something that most people do. Right before you're about to lay down with somebody and you decide to not use a condom, or you decide to take the condom off, what do you say? Are you clean? Be honest. Be honest. Because a lot of you know you've done that shit before. Oh, you right before the action. Are you clean? Who's gonna say no? I'm dirty. Oh yeah, no. I'm. You know what? My last test didn't go too well, so I'm really not that clean. Who the fuck is gonna say that? Who's gonna be honest with you in that moment and say, yeah, no, I'm not too clean. No, you're gonna be honest. Let's be honest about it. And a lot of people do that. Be like, oh yeah, you want to take off the condom, and then a few weeks later, you're itchy, or you get some discomfort. Now what? And I'm not saying that this situation is the most ideal, because here we have a scumbag of a guy who's doing this on camera. And if this is true, he's just sleeping with numerous amounts of women and lying about his health, his status when it comes to STDs. Now, obviously, this is 1,000% of a scumbag move to do. But this is why, as men, and I would say in this case, even women, right? You got to filter out the people who you date. And I can't speak for women because I usually don't give advice to women, but as men, you have to filter. We live in a new world. This world is crazy. Now, this is just one example that we can see unfold. This is just one example that we can see on camera. Now, imagine all the people that do that in day to day life. Imagine all the people that do this on a regular basis, who walk around with this shit and don't have enough honor and integrity and the balls to tell you that, yes, I have something that is uncurable. And obviously everything is curable, right? Um, you can get rid of just about everything. I see it all the time. You go on, like, especially if, like, because at one point I was vegan. So when you eat a lot of vegan foods and you get into that whole thing, then you see a lot of people that have like all types of diseases like cancer and AIDS and HIV and all these STDs. And there's a lot of stories of people getting rid of it. So that's the good part, that it's not how they say. Conventional medicine would tell you that you can never get rid of it, but you have to be careful. And this is why, and this is something that's also going to be in the filtering mechanism, the ebook that should be done by the end of the month, is that you have to learn to filter out certain type of people. You have to. Do you think that if you don't filter out certain women who say, well, oh, I had certain X amount of partners in the past week, and she says, well, I've had 10 partners in the last year or the last month, or some craziness like that. And see, this is the problem with society, because society say, oh, you shouldn't judge. We should just let people be free. Do whatever you please. Don't judge. So, oh, you're insecure. Oh, because she has a high body count, that you shouldn't judge her. You're No, fuck that. Because now we have people like this that are walking around with STDs, not telling people, and then you have people walking around not knowing that they have STDs, right? Ones that, according to conventional medicine, are uncurable. But we're told, oh, don't judge. Oh, you shouldn't judge a girl by how, or you shouldn't judge somebody by how many people they slept with. But then you have people like this that are unknowingly walking around with STDs. If somebody discloses, or you have an idea about how many partners they've had in the past, and you make a judgment call whether you want to be with this person or take this person serious or even sleep with this person, now you're wrong. Now you're misogynistic, right? Because because you want to protect yourself. You want to protect yourself. But this is the problem. Like, you guys got to be safe. And I get it. Some of you guys are so thirsty. Like I'm on TikTok and some guy he says, "I'll catch whatever to sleep with Luna Star." Bro, it's not worth it. And that's the problem. There's a lack of more. And when you see people that say shit like that, there's a lack of morality there. And don't get me wrong, that's not just men, that's women too. And sometimes there's some type of trauma. I remember, and this has happened on more than one occasion where I've had um I've had women tell me that they would let me essay them, right? If you know what that means. I'm on TikTok, so I don't want to say the actual word. And I think it's called non-consensual. There are people that are into that. But because some guys, and not just guys, obviously women too. But obviously in the case that we're talking about is a rare case because the guy was just fucking lying. But you have to be able to filter out people. You have to be able to understand who you're dealing with. And this is why, like, what I think it's even more of a reason as to why it's bullshit when people say, well, oh, a man knows you if within 2 weeks. I was with my man within 2 weeks and we dated. Have you both got STD checks yet? Have you went to the clinic together? Are you both clean? Have you done that yet? No, most people never do that. Some people find out they're with their partner for years and find out they both have STD. They both burn and don't even know it. And the crazy part about, like, with the herpes thing, you can have it and never even know it and never get a flare up, never have a reaction, nothing. And it just lays dormant within your body. But you can just have it. And apparently a large portion of society has it. This is what happens. But nobody, like, a lot of people just don't care. And some of you guys are so thirsty. And that comment was like the fucking personification of being thirsty. I would sleep with so and so, and I don't care what she had. You can't be like that, man. Because understand that even if you say Luna Star or your favorite, whoever you think is sexy, understand that this world is very vast and very big. Women outnumber us. It doesn't matter how you slice it or dice it. Even if you say head to head that there's more women, there's equal amount of men and women. It's still not the case in population because men are locked up. You have a good portion, especially in America. You got a good portion of men that are locked up. You got a good portion of men that are locked up, basically doing life. You got another portion of men that are not interested in women. So either way you look at it, it's no reason for you to sacrifice your health, sacrifice yourself for somebody knowing are potentially knowing that they have an STD and you take that risk because there's somebody else that looks just like them or looks just as good or perhaps even better before you go and say, well, I'm gonna just, you know what, damn, Luna Star so bad, I still take it. Nuts, nuts. But I think what we're seeing now in society is just a lack of morality. And I think the things that correlate when you look at, like, what's this guy's name who was letting people sleep with his wife? Um, what was his name? The podcaster guy who had like a large kid audience. It's probably changed a bit now, his demographic. Yeah, Adam 22. There we go. Adam 22. He's letting people sleep with his wife. He's running trains on his wife, which is just beyond me. Like, how do you even love somebody after that? But then you have people that go around saying, well, oh, I'm just going to lie to them and say that, I don't have any STD or show them fake test results. But this is what happened in society. Oh, don't judge. We shouldn't be judgmental. People should just be allowed to do what they want. No. Because when you just do what you want, you live like animals. What's separating you from the animals? And you know what's so crazy? Animals don't have to go worry about STDs. Right? I don't think that's something animals worry about. But when you live like an animal, this is what's gonna happen. This is what happens. This is what happens. And I'm not gonna lie, this is where when Cases like this, having somebody that's down for you. This is where when having one woman that you only have sex with comes in handy. And even if you do have sex with more than one, try not to. You have guys that live a totally different life. Now, I know guys that hit astronomical numbers. We're talking the hundreds. I don't know anybody personally that has 1,000 bodies or more. Because you would literally have to be doing that for a living, and this is what they were doing for a living. So it's very much possible for, if that's your profession, for you to hit that kind of number, unless you're a celebrity or you have some type of money or fame. But I know guys, regular guys, who are going on dates every other day, who are hooking up with new girls every week, whose body counts are in the hundreds. That's normal, especially guys my age that are in their 30s. They're guys that are 30 years young, 32, 33, 34, 35. It's possible, especially when you've been doing it for 10 years plus. For a guy to hit 200 that's not crazy. But when you have a motherfucker like this that's saying, oh, he has 3,000 bodies, and then he said he didn't feel bad because his girlfriend had 2,000 bodies. What the? You're having sex with a portion of society. That's crazy. You're going around like sleeping with a good portion of of like the people who live in your surroundings. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. And this is where, having one partner comes in handy. But the problem with that is when you build up a tolerance for having more than one partner, that's a habit now. Not saying you can never change it, but it's a habit. You build up a taste, right? Yeah, you hear the guys who say they have threesomes and foursomes, and then it's hard to go back. When they do that on a regular basis, you build up a tolerance. And then you have people that just live a different life. So, having all these women is normal for them. But it's not safe. Let's be real. Let's be real. Obviously, this is a change in tempo. If you go back and listen to some of the podcasts that I did in a few years back, it's a different tempo. But I gotta be real. And I gotta speak from the heart because I'm not out there doing that anymore. I'm not just out here sleeping with randoms. I'm not. And even when you guys do, thoroughly get to know them. Ask, inquire about their past. Get an idea. Don't fall for this bullshit. Oh, if you ask a girl about her past, you're insecure. Fuck that. Because now you're insecure, and because you didn't want to be insecure, now you got a fucking STD. Because you didn't want to, because, oh, I don't want to judge her if she has 100 bodies. I don't want to judge her if she has 50 bodies. Because everybody's gonna call me insecure, and everybody's gonna start calling me, oh, I'm a less of a man because I won't date a girl that's been having multiple part. No, you're fucking watching out for yourself. The law of the land is self-preservation. You come first. You always come first. Even when you have a family and kids, you always come first. You want to know why you come first always? Because if your shit isn't together, how are you supposed to take care of anyone else? You have to make sure you're healthy mentally, physically, so you can go out and provide. So you have the mental capacity and the mental fortitude to take care of somebody else. So when somebody tells you, oh, you should know within 2 weeks whether you want to be with the fuck that. You take your time to get to know these people. We don't live in the same age. Don't take advice from your fucking auntie or your grandmother, or your uncle who lived in a different time and era. Don't listen to that shit. They don't qualify. They didn't come with the updates. They're not in the streets. You know, like an iPhone, you get an update. They didn't get their update. Their mindset is totally different. They come from a totally different in time. If they can't relate, if they tell you that they've talked to 12 people in a month trying to find the right person to go on a date with, they never did that before, you don't fucking qualify. You could be respectful about it, but I'm sorry, auntie, ain't shit you could tell me about dating. These young motherfuckers is moving ruthless. Clearly. Motherfuckers running around with uncurable shit telling people that he's good. Sick. And doing it on camera. I can understand if you did it in secret, nobody found out, nobody knew where it came from. It's still not okay. But you're doing this shit on camera. Like that's nuts. 1,000% nuts. 1,000% nuts. but this is what happens. This is what happens when you live that life. But anyway, guys, I just want to, give this a short little podcast and tell you guys, careful who you have sex with. And make sure you filter out the women. It's not just about, STDs, it's about personality, who you're dealing with, the people that you're dealing with. You know, don't fall for the bullshit. Oh, I can't judge somebody based off their. No, fuck that. Of course you can. And you should thoroughly, thoroughly. We live at a different time and age. You guys are seeing the examples in your face. Now, if somebody's doing this that's famous, that has thousands of followers and does it for a living and they're doing it on camera, understand there are people that live near you. There are coworkers that are with you. There are people that go to your school that have these same type of diseases and will move in the same wacky, ruthless kind of way and won't say shit. And honestly, this is not advice for just men. This is advice for women too. Not saying that you just should have a severe mistrust for everybody, but move cautiously. Be smart. Don't be thirsty. I understand some women look fine. She got a nice body, beautiful face. She's legit bad and she wants to give your attention. But the caveat is she has a incurable disease. Don't risk it. Oh, but I used the condom. No. And that's another thing. I've had clients who said that. Oh, yeah, she told me she had herpes, but I still had sex with her. I used a condom. No. Oh my fucking God. Are you serious? Why would you risk that? It's okay to say no sometimes. Some of you guys are so fucking thirsty that you can't say no. It is never worth your health. It is never worth your health. But anyway, guys, I think this is podcast 212. I actually remember without checking this time. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get off of here. Make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe. I'm off of this. Just be careful, guys. Make sure you filter out the women that you talk to because this shit is nuts. 100%.